Hi guys, before we start I want to make a short PSA and with what's going on globally, I hope you guys are safe, and I want to ask you to practice social distancing right now. If you don't really have anything to do outside, just stay indoors, and the most important everything of all is be healthy right now, and with everyone's cooperation this will blow over. So let's go ahead and begin with the video. Hey guys, Brian here. Well, today's kind of special for me because Resident Evil 3 Remake is coming out, and given the fact that that is the first Resident Evil game that I've played as a kid, and I just wanted to feature Jill Valentine in this episode. So if you're new to the channel, what I do here is I give out a deck composition, explain the cards that I am using, and playing a couple of games using that composition. So let's go ahead and start. I will go ahead and explain first what particular hero art we're using. And in this episode, we are using Antibody activation, which is the third hero skill for our protagonist, Jill Valentine. So let's go ahead and dive in. In this portion of the video, I am going to talk about the hero art that we're using. In this episode, we are using Jill Valentine's Antibody activation. A little rundown on that hero art is it can be unlocked on level 10. It does require 15 points to activate it, and one of the mechanics of this hero art is you need to explore at least 3 times. So there are pros and cons of this hero art and deck composition that we have. So let's just go ahead and start off with one of the pros, and the hero art is one of the lowest casting costs around. I believe Antibody activation is going to be the third. I might be correct, I might be wrong, but I believe that this is one of the lowest casting costs around. And second is the deck composition that we're using is more of a Swiss Army build, meaning to say it does have everything with the exception of direct damage. And you can use those abilities over and over again, since that we do have cards that would trigger the unit's explore ability. So that is one good pro. Third is going to be the hero art itself is a good defense or ability, since that it does provide a shield and it does provide extra hit points for the targeted unit. And most of the units and cards, or in general the majority of the cards that we are using, are low casting cost. The highest would be 7, and that is going to be the Teostra Infernal King. But most of the cards that we're using for this deck would only have like 1 up until 4 MP, which is very good, since that you can manage your mana or your MP properly here. So let's go ahead and jump into the cons. And one of the cons in here is it can be easily be beaten by high tier compositions such as Zero's Rakoha and Charge Shot by X. I would consider this composition and hero art as mid tier, but it really depends on your playstyle. Second con would be units that on this comp or on this deck can be easily be overwhelmed by beefier units. If you've noticed, or you will notice later, that most of the units that we're using does have like 1 up until 5 HP, and that is if you're counting as if you're looking for a meat shield, those units can only block 1 attack from a certain unit, and it can't really pair up with like high attack units especially when it comes to the excess charge shot composition. It is most likely you will be on the defensive during that time. And third con is there isn't, or there is little to none direct damage cards here. There are some, but not totally, because we are focusing on unit control and field control. So the main source of the damage here would come out from units. And one weak part of this comp is it doesn't have much direct damage cards. And the most common con here, but I don't really consider it as a con, is you need to explore 3 times before using this ability. Though it's not really a problem, since that most of the units that you're using does have the explore ability attached to it. And most of the units will explore upon play. It's for me, it's not really a con, but it's more of a feature of the ability itself. So we are going ahead and talk about the cards that we're using here. In this part of the video, I am going to discuss the cards I'm using. So let's go ahead and start with our first card here, and it is Brought to Light. This is a 1 MP action card that would trigger the explore ability of an ally unit here. So this is a good card when you're trying to get like a certain card, let's say a detonation or an ammo or a shield. Basically, this is a lockpick type of utility, so you can get access to the cards that you actually need for that situation. So let's go ahead and jump into the next card here, and it does the same thing as Brought to Light, though one good thing about this card is it will the explored card will get a -1 MP when casting. So but looking at that, most of the explored cards that you would use would have like at least 2 to 3 MP for casting. So this is one of the cards that you can use in order to manage your MP properly. So let's go ahead and jump into the third card here, and it, like the previous two, it is more of like a utility card, since that it would, as a requirement, it would return a red unit to the AX pocket, but it will deal 5 damage amongst enemy units. So what I usually do here is I return a card that has the explore ability, and I would play it again so I could trigger the same ability over. So definitely a good card, but not a requirement. So let's go ahead and jump into the fourth card. And I've mentioned this on my previous video. This is one of the solid cards on the expansion, in my opinion. What it does is it deals 2 damage to a target hero or enemy unit, though it does have a memory requirement of 7, which is very achievable, since that most of the time you're just casting action cards. So once the memory requirement has been met, instead of 2 damage, it will deal 7 damage to the enemy hero or enemy unit. So definitely one of the direct damage cards that you would have in this comp. If you do have this card and you're planning to do this deck, it is a must-have in my opinion. So let's go ahead and jump into the next card here, and this is going to be the first unit on this deck, and this is going to be Mikhail Victor. When played, he would explore ammo, which is an action card that is a 1 MP action card that gives +2 attack to a friendly unit. So this is a good card when you're trying to buff up a certain unit on your field, and it also, and the stat line of this particular card is like 1 attack, 1 or 5 HP, which is a good defensive unit in my opinion, and it can soak up at least 2 to 3 damage early game. So it really depends on how you play this card, but it is a must-have. when running this comp. So let's go ahead and jump into the next here, and Clara Redfield. And it does have a requirement to be met in order to use her playability. So in this situation, you may need to explore 3 times. So once you have met that, when she comes into play, she will deal 6 damage to the enemy in front of her, which is a good thing, since that we are sort of limited when it comes to direct damage onto units. And this is one of the things that cannot trigger an action from the enemy, so which is very good. So let's go ahead and jump into the next. And Hellbat, in my opinion, this is one of the good cards or decent cards here, since that it will explore detonation upon play. And what it does is, it is a 2 MP action card that deals 6 damage to an enemy unit. Solid digit when it comes to the damage dealt, and it can kill most of the enemies. And there. Let's go ahead and jump into the next card here. And this is one of the limited direct damage cards that we'd be using. Like I mentioned this as well on my previous video, and it will deal 3 damage to the target enemy hero, but it provides you with an art charge of 2, so activating your hero art would be much faster. So if you do have other cards that can substitute this, feel free to use that, but this is basically a free card when playing or when you're trying to level up Jill. So let's go ahead and jump into the next card here, and Unleashed. Yes, and basically this card does have an explore requirement, but once that requirement has been met, it would give you a different or an additional ability. In plain sight, it will only give you 2 attack to your friendly unit on field, but once you've met the requirement, it will also give your unit flight. And in this game, most of the units doesn't have flight, and it is a good thing when you're using like a buffed up creature, and then you're just going to give it flight, which is much harder to defend for the enemy. So let's go ahead and jump into the next card here. And this is one of the limited like beefy units that you would have here. Well, I do consider him as a beefy unit, since that he is a 3 attack 5 HP unit, and it will, upon play, he will explore a shield card that would allow the unit to receive a shield ability, and that would actually soak up 1 turn from the enemy unit, and it is a good defense ability for any unit available. So let's go ahead and jump into the next here. And Nash, this is, in my opinion, you can use this on an offensive. Well, it is being used offensively, since that he does have a combo ability which deals twice damage when being attacked or attacking a unit or a player. So he does have an explorer requirement of 3, but when when we meet that requirement, he will gain an additional +2 attack, +4 HP, which makes him a bit more beefy, since that he would get like 9 HP after that. So he is a good unit to use, and I would suggest that you would use him if given a chance. So let's go ahead and jump into the next here. And well, this is basically a complementary card upon this comp, since that he is 5 MP, he is like 1 attack 5 HP, and it will receive an additional attack for every card that was explored. So also every time that he wins, he will get an additional 2 HP, which is kind of a problem to the opponent when he is out of control. So he is a good unit to be used here, but given the fact that he is around 5th drop, I would limit his use. Like, I would only add like twice or 2 cards at maximum. So he is a good card on this comp, since that he will exploit, not really exploit, but take advantage of your exploration. So let's go ahead and jump into the next card here, and this is going to be Jill, our protagonist. So she brings a lot to the table. So every time that a unit explores a card, she will gain a new ability. For the first card, it is going to be, she will be granted availability, which makes her untargetable to action cards and to abilities. Not really abilities, but mainly to action cards. The second ability is going to be a combo ability, which will allow her to deal twice damage, or 2 times the damage. And the third time, she will get a buff of +4 attack, which will make her a big problem, since that during that time she will run around like she is like a 6'9" unit with combo. So she would definitely hurt. So let's go ahead and look into the last card, and this is going to be the only big casting unit of this composition. And the only kicker here is it does have a 3 attack and 7 defense, or HP, but he does have an agility which makes it faster to attack. And upon victory, he will explore a card named Supernova, which, here we go, which would allow to deal 8 damage to all units except for Teostra. So in this situation, it is more of a cleanup card, since that 8 damage is a very solid damage output when trying to control the field. So and I don't really mind cleaning up my field if there is going to be a Theosor running around. And there. So the next part of this video is I will go ahead and play a couple of games here, and I will commentate on those games. So stay tuned. Okay guys, in this portion I will give you a little rundown on the gameplay of this comp. So we do have a good hand, and now we're going to save up until 9 MP to play Jill and Mikhail at the same time. So I can trigger the availability of Jill here. And here we go. And we're playing her right now. And I will trigger the explore ability of Mikhail, so she would get a combo ability right away. And I will buff up Mikhail here. So just in case that the Tyrant can't really trigger his second ability. And I will buff up Jill right now. And she does have the combo ability as we speak here. So there you go. And I will trigger her third ability, which is the +4 attack. And she is pretty beefy right now. And okay, I don't really mind having a defender here because I am triggering my hero art that would allow me to have like a +1/+3.
There's no point resisting.
So basically no one can defend against Jill in this field, because she is basically untargetable And there you go, it's game.
All
But
preparations
let me
complete.
just go ahead and play around. If you're going to look at it, she is very quick, but you need to have like the good cards. So
Nothing else.
let's go ahead and jump
Hope you
into the
managed
next
to find
game.
some peace.
Okay, in this second game, we are up against a Dante that uses ebony and ivory. So we're doing the same tactic, which is save up until 9 MP, so we could cast Jill along with the Hellbat. And yeah, there. So we're just going to wait. Essentially, we just need to trigger the Veil ability of Jill here as soon as possible. But we are up against a Shenko.
All
So
preparations
we are going to try to destroy that unit as quick as possible, but she resonated right away.
You're finished.
So I will
Give up
try to
already.
inflict as much damage as possible. As you noticed, I do have another Rescuer's Bullet on my hand. So if the damage dealing will be resolved, I will cast the Rescuer's Bullet again, so I could destroy that unit, because once it's out of control, it's out of control. So there. And since that we are a cleanup, or the field is already been cleaned up, we're going to do the same tactic, which is like wait for 9 MP, so we could cast Jill again, and along with the Hellbat. But if you would notice here, he may cast like a unit here that would have a resonate, so which is going to be a problem in the long run. Like I said, she put down 2 Trishas, okay, and he triggered his hero art that would actually double the resonate effect every time he uses that ability. So which is fine. I could soak damage here. So there,
Now we're
there.
talking.
And then cast again, and I would
You're finished.
try to kill one of the Trishas here.
Sweet dreams.
Okay.
All preparations complete.
Okay, I do have the combo now.
Sweet dreams.
And most likely what I would do is, once the damage has been resolved, I will play Claire Redfield to kill the first Trish. And let me go activate my hero art on her.
No. But I'm still in it.
Got you running scared?
Okay, and Ibuki, that's fine. Okay, so we are 1 Trish down, and okay, we ain't gonna do anything.
There's no point resisting.
Yeah.
Just accept your fate.
So let's see, how would this guy react?
Adios.
Okay, by casting again, and she is pretty beefy. Trish is like 11-16 right now, and 1 hit could actually kill me. But what I'm doing here is I will go ahead and defend it by a Hellbat. Yeah. So we're just waiting for this one to get
There's
resolved.
no point resisting. Just accept your
Okay,
fate.
just in case.
Checkmate.
If you're going to check it on the different scale here, a 15-20 Trish would be hard to deal with. Most of the time it's already been GG, but we are trading damage
No, I can't.
to the enemy, since that I do have a combo in flight. So we are going to dish out 12 damage here. Okay, there you go. And those are going to be my gameplays. Please stay tuned for my final thoughts on this deck. Hi guys, welcome back. These are my final thoughts for this comp. She is pretty fun to play with, and it offers a lot of utility for you because you are so versatile because of the Explorer tactic or the Explorer ability. And one sad part of this particular composition is, or all throughout the deck itself, is she is somewhat slow, and she requires a setup to win, since that some of the units that you would have low HP, and it is somewhat of a drag if you're going to think about it, and you are basically playing against, like, with the 0 Rokohas and the X charge shots. Most of the time it is a 50-50, since that those decks are pretty fast and action card heavy in order to trigger their abilities, and I think that you can play it as defensive as possible, but those are my final thoughts. If you do have like cards that you think that can improve this comp, please write them on the comments below. I am currently showing you the QR code for this deck. Please feel free to copy them if you please. I am also leaving a deck code on the video description, and you can provide feedback on the comments as well. And if you are new to the channel, please leave a like and subscribe. Let's help each other out, grow the community, and I just hope that you guys are currently safe, and I do hope for you guys to have a nice weekend and have a great day ahead. Thank you very much.